with one that's got big horns. And you know what? If you're not man enough and you're not ready to go, and you battle with the Longhorn, that horn can stick you pretty good. That is Bevo down in Austin. The Cowboys in Texas at 11 a.m. at DKR Memorial Stadium. The man who has the pulse of Bevo and the Longhorns pretty much constantly is Chip Brown from 247 Horns 247. Chip, how are you?
Robert, I am great. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Let me ask you this. This is the question when I was driving in today. I'm thinking, what do I want to ask Chip? And this is really the question because it's one that I don't know insiders at Texas think about as much as outsiders looking in at Texas. What have you noticed that's different? Not necessarily on the field with schemes and all that, but just in attitude, or we can use that popular term culture of this Texas team under Steve Sarkisian that's different under Tom Herman and basically since Mac Brown left the building.
Sorry, Robert. I had you on mute there for a second.
Oh, okay.
I'm just getting into my car. I didn't want you to hear my garage door open.
Hey, when I broadcast, I let people hear the ding 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 of the seatbelt, all the whole business. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest difference that the players have said, Sarkisian, is that he's genuine. They feel like he listens to them. It's a partnership as opposed to a dictatorship, which I think a lot of players felt was the case under Tom Herman. And then, certainly offensively, they feel, like they're really being put in position to succeed. I think the Oklahoma loss exposed some issues on defense that, you can now look at the win over TCU where they give up a 99-yard drive in the fourth quarter, even against Texas Tech where they gave up 3 big play touchdowns in the second half, and say, okay, well, this defense is not adjusting well enough at halftime, or they're not adjusting to the opponent's adjustments. And so, there's a little bit of soul searching going on the defensive side, but I think the players believe in Sarkisian. And, I thought the win at TCU, which is a game that Texas has lost in the past, where they've got the lead by 12, and then they give up that 99-yard drive. TCU cuts it to 5. Texas was able to, run out the clock with a true 4-minute drill and get out of there with a 32-27 win. So, and I think you saw from the energy and the fire in the first half against Oklahoma that this is a team that, bought in. Casey Thompson said on Monday that, the best thing to come out of that game is that we know we can compete with, the 6-time defending conference champion. So, each player looks at these things differently, but I think Sarkisian has their respect, and they're, certainly getting better on offense. Now they got to make some improvement on defense.
All right, you and I talked yesterday on a podcast or presentation on Horns 247, and one of the things that we talked about was Oklahoma State being a much different looking Oklahoma State team, and I heard Sark talk about this in his press conference where he said, "Hey, never coached against Coach Gundy, but I got to respect the man. They changed their stripes in Stillwater. They've gone from being an explosive offensive team that just tried to outscore people to being a ball control offense with a defense that can stop everybody. Um, what do you think Texas makes of this? Because this is, I mean, it's taken a few weeks or a month, the first month of the season, for Oklahoma State fans to get used to seeing what they're seeing.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a third straight gauntlet test for for the Texas offense because Oklahoma, Oklahoma State's defense. The first thing that jumps out is that they're so tough on third down. Giving up less than 30% in terms of conversion rate on third down, and that's all you can ask of a team, really. I mean, that's beyond what most coaches set as the target. So, this is another big test for Casey Thompson, Bijan Robinson, Xavier Worthy. Now they are missing their most productive receiver on third down, Jordan Whittington, who broke his clavicle in the OU game, is going to have surgery, and so I think Texas is this is a primo flat spot for Texas, coming off the tough physical games against TCU and OU, and then the way that they lost to OU. This will be a real test of Sarkisian's ability to not only get his players back up for Oklahoma State, a number 12 and undefeated Oklahoma State, but to make the corrections that they need to make, because this is a team that comes to Austin confident in playing in Austin. I think Oklahoma State's 5-1 in their last 6 in Austin. So, Sarkisian doesn't know all that. He's new to the scene, but he's got to get his players to bounce back, and then they'll have an off week after 7 straight weeks.
What do you see as the vibe right now for the Texas fans? I mean, what kind of revelry are we going to see in the stands on Saturday? Do you think they're the newness of Coach Sarkisian and kind of seeing what they've seen? They've got one of the best running backs in the country to cheer for in Robinson, and I think everybody truly likes the story of Casey Thompson. Even Mike Gundy loves the story of Casey Thompson because he just likes to see a kid that sticks his head in there and perseveres and finally wins out.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think Casey's story is the picture of perseverance, and he played his best game against Oklahoma. I mean, throw for 5 touchdowns, 388 yards, no turnovers against that defense and that atmosphere. I think he proved to a lot of Texas fans, okay, because I've compared him to James Brown, the former Texas quarterback who never was supposed to play under John Malkovich, who ended up helping Texas win 3 conference championships, including that, the first Big 12 title game when they upset Nebraska. And, Casey's just a grinder, and he studies a ton of film. If the fans don't show up Saturday at 11, it's whiplash, it's battered fan syndrome, a little bit of, oh no, here we go again. But if you look closer, as you pointed out, you've got a quarterback who's getting better. You've got, the best running back in the country, and then a freshman receiver in Xavier Worthy who just went for 261 yards receiving, second most ever in a game by a Longhorn receiver, and is electric. So, I mean, I think I'll be surprised if Texas fans aren't back up and ready to go on Saturday, because they have seen progress from this team, as frustrated as they were with the way that Texas lost to OU. If it was a back and forth game and a shootout, kind of like last year, fans would probably say, "Oh man, what a performance!" But because they were up 28-7 and up 18 at the end of the third quarter, that was a gut punch to the fans. And of course, when that happens, they want someone's head on a plate, which has been the problem at Texas. They need to settle in and let this staff grow, let them recruit some players, and see where this goes.
Chip Brown from Horns 247 again. I've known Chip forever, going back to Dallas Morning News days, and Chip's a hell of a reporter. Was on the front edge a bunch, and one of the guys I consulted often during the surprising summer chapter of conference realignment. I want to get to that, but last question on this game coming up Saturday. A lot of talk about Pete Kwiatkowski coming in as a defensive coordinator for Sark. What do you see as the biggest obstacles for this Texas defense? Because obviously they played pretty good the first half. I mean, Oklahoma had some big plays and they were just barely hanging in. What they did really good was, for so much of the game, Oklahoma would drive and then Texas would stop them, make them kick a field goal, and that is in itself can make a good defense if you just don't let people score touchdowns and make them kick field goals. So what's the challenge here, and what's the problem with the Texas defense?
Yeah, I mean, you described Pete Kwiatkowski's philosophy. He wants to keep everything in front, don't give up the big play, and then once you get in the red zone, hold them to field goals and force turnovers. And Texas was able to force 2 turnovers from Oklahoma in addition to a blocked punt.
Yeah.
But they had a guy in the hole on, when Caleb Williams broke that 66-yard run, they had him behind the line of scrimmage on a 4th and 1 and just missed the tackle. And it just seems to me that the players on defense still aren't at that confidence level where, they feel like they can step up and make that play, or B, have enough. We're getting off the field, and we're getting off the field right here. I mean, the great teams, the great defenses have that guy, and I'm not sure that Texas has that guy yet because they're still learning how to win. They're still learning how to finish. It's been, unfortunately for those players, it's been part of the culture the last few years to lose games late and not win games late. And so I think they're still getting over that mental hurdle, and they got to, structurally, I think the coaches have to either get the right personnel in or do a better job of explaining, because I think right now, there was some question about where were our adjustments to their adjustments in the second half.
All right, Chip. I had, with Oklahoma State having the day off, I watched wall-to-wall football, and that included tuning in and watching game day last Saturday. And I saw something I thought I'd never see. I saw Texas and Oklahoma fans on the game day set outside the Cotton Bowl start chanting in unison, SEC. I don't know if I hope you guys in the media, because we don't blame you, but I'm pretty sure as Texas and Oklahoma make their way around the Big 12 this year, especially their road games, and I think Oklahoma got a really good dose of it in Manhattan against Kansas State. I don't know if TCU fans would respond that way, but your thoughts on all this and the fact that the school you cover and the school that they played last week basically are hated everywhere they go now.
Yeah, I mean, I was told that the ESPN game day crew got that chant started, and
that wouldn't surprise me. They're culpable in all this too.
Yeah, which I think is kind of appropriate. Yeah, I mean, this is...
hey, Chip, I've got Commissioner Bowlesby on tomorrow, and I'm going to say, I wasn't there, Commissioner, but I've heard, I'm not going to throw your name out there, but I've heard from media sources that ESPN got that chant SEC started. I just want to see what he says.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's for these coaches and players, they're just trying to figure out how to stop Jalen Warren and Spencer Sanders and Tay Martin. Um, you know, they haven't really heard it yet. They got some overrated chants at Arkansas, but they haven't really heard it yet. Now, if this game was in Stillwater, I mean, all the
Oh,
players say because they're so close to the fans, the students, that they hear everything. But because it's in Austin, I imagine we'll probably get some interesting signs and responses at Iowa State, at Baylor, at West Virginia. But so far, it's been pretty tame.
yeah. Bedlam here will be because I mean the OSU fans. I mean they don't like OU to begin with. Now they really don't like OU, and you've had the case of the new president at OSU, Dr. Schrum. She has spoke her mind. She has been very open about how she feels about the Oklahoma administration. Basically, went behind OSU's back as dirty dogs and basically violated some gentlemen's agreements between the two schools for staying in the same conference forever and ever. But yeah, it'll get ugly for that. Hey, I appreciate the time, and we will see you in Austin this Saturday.
All right, Robert. Anytime.
All right, take care, Chip. Chip Brown from Horns 247 again. I know they got.